You know, some stories stay with you, not because they're dramatic or made up, but because they sound too real to ignore. The stories I'm about to share with you were told to me just like this, in hushed voices, late at night, by people who had either lived through them or knew someone who had. These aren't just tales. These are real-life experiences, shared by those brave enough to step inside a house that many believe is cursed. The house? The infamous Conjuring House, a place so haunted that it still sends chills down the spine of anyone who dares to enter. People say it's not just the spirits of the past that haunt the house. No, it's something more, something that has never left. And after listening to these stories, you'll understand why the locals still say, this house is cursed. Let me start with a story that gave me chills down my spine. I was told about this porcelain doll, not the infamous Annabelle, no. This one is different. And I can tell you, the way it was described to me, it feels just as terrifying. It was found tucked away in a forgotten storage room at the back of the Conjuring House. Imagine this old, dusty room, the kind of room that feels abandoned, where the air is stale and the silence is so thick it presses on your ears. And in the center of this room, sitting eerily still, was the porcelain doll. A paranormal investigator, someone who swore he never believed in ghosts, stepped into the room one evening to examine the house. He was confident there was nothing supernatural going on, just old, creaky floors and some rusted metal. He even chuckled at the idea of this old house being haunted, but the moment he entered that room, things took a sharp turn. The temperature dropped instantly. Now, he wasn't a stranger to cold spots, but this was different. It wasn't the normal, chilly cold. It was a freezing cold that felt like the room itself didn't want him there. It was the kind of cold that crawls under your skin, a cold that feels wrong, like it's warning you. And there it was, that doll, sitting in the center of the room, watching him. Now he didn't touch it. He didn't even want to get close. He filmed the doll, took some shots, and moved on. But when he passed by the room again a few minutes later, something was off. The doll had moved. Not far, just enough that he noticed. Its head, which had been straight before, was now tilted to the side as if it were staring at him. He thought maybe he had just imagined it, but when he reviewed the footage later, that's when it got really unsettling. In the beginning of the video, the doll's eyes were wide open, but as the footage progressed, as he walked by the room again, the doll's eyes were half closed. Okay, now let's talk about sound. You'd think sound wouldn't be that scary, right? But sometimes it's the quiet ones that really get to you. One of the caretakers who stayed at the house a few years ago thought all the stories people told were just exaggerations. He wasn't a skeptic, but he didn't buy into the whole haunting thing. The first night, nothing. The second night, quiet, peaceful, just like any old house. But then, on the third night, it happened. Around 3:15 a.m., when the air was thick and the house seemed to settle into the night. He heard it, footsteps, coming from the attic. Now he figured someone had probably broken in, so he grabbed a flashlight and went to check. He crept through the house, calling out, but when he reached the attic, there was nothing. At least, not at first. As he turned to head back downstairs, he heard it again. This time, much clearer. A bell, a soft, slow bell ringing, somewhere in the distance. The sound echoed through the empty halls. He froze. Was it just in his head? He thought maybe it was an old bell in the house somewhere. But as he walked down the hallway, following the sound, it only grew louder. Ringing, ringing, like something was calling him. He followed the sound, led by that eerie bell, until it led him to the living room. And just as he stepped inside, the piano began to play. 3 or 4 notes, broken and off-key, like someone trying to remember a song they used to love, but couldn't quite recall. He stood there listening, heart pounding. Then whispering to himself, he said, "If you're here, play something." The piano stopped, and then from behind him he heard breathing. Not a breeze, not a draft. Breathing, cold and close. He turned around, his blood running cold. There was no one there. He left everything behind and packed up before sunrise, his hands shaking as he closed the door behind him. When he later spoke about it, he said, "That house doesn't want to be quiet, it wants to be heard." This last story is the one that still gets to me. It's not about evil spirits or twisted figures. It's about loss. And sometimes loss is the most terrifying thing of all. They say a woman lived in the Conjuring House back in the 1800s. Her name was Bathsheba, and she was married to a man who died mysteriously. Some say it was suicide. Others whisper darker things, that it was no accident. Whatever happened, she never left the house, not even after her husband's death. Some believe she still wanders the halls searching for him, waiting for him to come home. And some of the visitors who have stayed there, they say they've seen her, a figure dressed in white gliding through the halls, pausing at doorways, looking into rooms, as though she's waiting for something, someone. One psychic who visited the house said she's searching for him over and over, like she's stuck in that moment when she lost him. But here's the part that still gives me chills. One man, a skeptic who didn't believe in any of it, decided to mock the stories. He called out to her saying, "Come on, show yourself. I'm not afraid." And then the hallway light flickered twice and went completely out. The darkness closed in around him, and as he stood there in the blackness, he heard a voice, a whisper, barely audible, but clear as day. "He's still here." He ran, never looked back. He told me, "She's not evil, she's just lost, and she wants you to be lost with her." So these are just a few of the countless incidents people have shared about the Conjuring House. Maybe it's the past, the dark history that lingers there. Or maybe there's something else, something more sinister that's still present, something that never truly left. Locals still say that house is cursed. And honestly, after hearing all this, I'm starting to believe them. What do you think? Do you believe the Conjuring House is truly cursed? Or is it just the weight of history and ghost stories mixing together? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell to stay updated. Who knows? Maybe the next story will be from someone like you.